Welcome back to another Inktober video. So for this one I had a little help from my youngest brother. I asked him what I should draw, just, offhand, and he said a sleep demon. And that gave me this idea pretty much right away. Probably not perfectly how I pictured it, but, not too far off. And I was kind of glad because this took me a couple different filming sessions to get because I had a lot of other things I had to do without falling behind on Inktober. So my brother ended up seeing it, my other younger brother, and he's in his 20s. And yeah, he's like, is this like a sleep demon genie thing? And I was super glad that he got it. So he said he really liked that I did like the mobile, whatever you call it, for the baby's cribs that hang over the top and spin. So I do quite a bit of the inking here, but then when I went to change my line weights and stuff, it was pretty loud. I actually did this the same day I filmed that other video, the last one that you watched, so I was already a little pressed for time, and then my dad came home and so did my brother, so it was louder and my dad was watching television, so yep, I pretty much just turned off the camera, sat down for a while, which is fine because my back was killing me, and just did my line weights. So you won't get to see too many of those, but hopefully that's fine because it's honestly just going back over the top of quite a bit of the lines that you've already seen me draw. So I wanted him to have almost a tender, creepy kind of expression going on, just to fight against the lower half of his face where the teeth are showing. And then I almost wanted it to look like he was like cooing or something, even with the teeth, so I kind of pushed them outwards like you would with lips and went for that. I draw a lot of people with teeth like this over the top of a regular fleshy face. Actually, way back in the day, I used to draw a lot in pen. I got into this huge kick of getting a bunch of colored pens, and then I would just draw with them constantly all the time. No undersketch or anything, just to practice it, because I saw this Sharpie commercial for the Sharpie pens way back in the day, and they had like a whole doodling thing, and I thought it was the coolest, and so I started trying to do that myself. But that really got me into drawing with pen even more. Before that I did draw a lot in just black Bic pen, basically, because it was cheap. We pretty much always had some sort of pen around. Sometimes it'd just be something that my parents picked up from, gas stations or whatever, and I would just sketch with those a lot. I thought it was important, and I thought it would help me kind of develop my skills to draw without so much erasing. There was a time in my life when I didn't erase very much anyways, and it was just from drawing all the time and thinking a lot before I put a line down. I didn't really mind having to pause and really think about it and imagine it, and I think that helped me a lot. But over time, that skill has kind of faded, and it's something that I have to actively work on, I guess, like any skill. So then I had to give in to having kind of like the knobby, thin fingers with the really long fingernails. I don't know if it's because a lot of people have always told me that I have very thin, bony hands, but I do tend to draw these types of things. Maybe they just kind of show up in a lot of artwork that I enjoy, like in a lot of media, because I've always really enjoyed thrillers, and I really like horror movies. So, yeah, and a lot of supernatural stuff. I really like supernatural shows, movies, comics, books, For a while, it was like I was super into vampires as a kid. They weren't really popular at the time, but I just really liked the idea of vampires. And then werewolves for a time. I was huge into like random demon things, like the idea of kind of like a half human, half demon thing. So yeah. So there's all the line weights and everything. I went through a little bit with my Sharpie, my acrylic Sharpie, because it's so much easier to fill in those bigger areas, especially in the hair, and it makes it look so much more fluid to me. So we'll just erase out the undersketch, and here we go. I actually decided to take out its eyes. Not fully, I mean it's still got some eyeballs in there, but I decided no pupils and iris, even though originally I was going to have them. I was going to have it be completely dark around them, all black, and just have them shining, and the more I looked at it, the more I thought, well, what if it looked like he was in a dream too? And then everything he's holding is made out of that same white, like it's all being controlled and just kind of taking over his eyes. So then they ended up just being completely like snowball white, so. And I kind of decided that here anyways. I mean, I wanted him to have white hair instead of black. I usually do black because I really, really dig dark hair. I say that, but I enjoy pretty much all colors of hair. I think everything's got its own charm. But again, running back to when I was a kid, I have blonde hair. It's kind of a dirty blonde color, so yeah, I always fantasized about having really dark hair. I had a cousin, I still have a cousin, who has really beautiful dark, thick hair, and I was always a little jealous of that, and one of my sisters as well has really dark hair. So the hard part about this was balancing out the lower half of this picture, because I knew I was going to be using so many of my tones, and I only have a few markers for each one. I think the 4 for the warm gray and the 4 for the cool gray, so you can only bounce those off of each other so much, especially when you're mixing, because if it was flat it wouldn't be as bad, but it's not. So yeah, when you're trying to blend out, you kind of start running out of the tones that you can use. But I wanted them to bounce off of each other decently well. I knew the white would help, and later on the deep blacks I knew were going to give me a leg up, so yeah. But I knew I wanted the sleep demon to be bluer, for sure. He had to be cooler than the kid, because obviously the kid's alive. I almost considered doing it the other way, and I'm like, nah, it's not gonna work like that. I just kept picturing it in my head, like, no, not gonna work. And in all honesty, even if I didn't blend and I left these hard shadows sitting like that, I don't think that's too bad. I was gonna even make him a little translucent, but I thought against it. Because the day I finally decided to finish this picture, and I had the time, I went ahead and filmed a completely different video as well. I didn't think I was going to make it, because I didn't think I was going to have the time before everyone got home, but I managed it somehow. Mostly by getting really behind on steps, which is not great for me because it makes me super stiff, so. But yeah, I didn't want to do anything too complicated. But yeah, that's how I ended up making sure that I was gonna have videos ready to post and schedule before I leave. Today is actually Saturday, and we leave on Monday, so I haven't even packed. Anybody else hate packing? I really hate packing. I think the marker part of the video might be a little bit boring because it's just building up It's just building up a contrast between each different part as carefully as I can. I did have a few problems this year blending some of my darker markers out, that like mixing them between my other markers, the Ohuhu ones. They didn't really want to blend with my others, and they blend fine with each other, so I don't know what the difference in formula is there, but it was okay. It's something that I just had to make work. And then just yesterday, I ended up posting all of my Inktober's and finally catching up on posts. So, yeah, if you want to see those, they are on my Instagram. And I will eventually do a little tour. I'm still planning, like I mentioned before, to scan this year and last year's. I haven't already scanned last year's, I can't remember. I'm sure I could search around on my computer and find out. But yeah, I think I'm going to scan them at some point, get them kind of cleaned up, and probably put them up on my Gumroad. Then you can just look through them as you like. Hopefully it'll let you, like the file won't get too big and it'll let you just kind of scroll through it without having to download it. I know that's sometimes preferable because there's just always a shortage of space. At least there is for me. Yeah, originally I was going to just keep that cool gray in the back. It's a number 5, I'm pretty sure. But I think the black really needed to push through there a little more, and it ended up working out with something that I thought to do later. I was actually thinking I was completely finished with this picture at one point, and I was about to go eat lunch before starting the next video, and just as I was standing up, I had an idea for how I was going to break up the space a little bit better towards that bottom half, and I was like, oh man, now I have to do it. And I was kind of like, I hope this doesn't mess it up, but the picture that I had for it in my head was just, it just worked. It was the magic touch that it needed, so I just went for it. This white has been so nice. I thought it was completely dry the other day, but it just got clogged. So like, man, that didn't last very long, but nah. It's still hanging on. Still doing well. That's why I didn't worry too much about getting that line in that tooth when I was inking, because I knew I was going to come back over the top of it with this. And then I went over the hair, and I was really worried while I was doing this. I mean, not at the beginning, but as I continued, I'm like, maybe this will be too much. How much do I put on? And then I went freaking ape with it, and yeah, I put it all over the hair. Which there's a lot of hair, because when I was first looking, obviously I'm seeing that top area, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's just this much, it's no big deal, and completely ignored the bottom area with all the other hair. And that all the strings are actually his hair. It's all just fueled by his magic, so. Yep. There it is. You would not have wanted to sit through that because it took a long time. I was actually thinking that that was going to eat up every bit of time that I saved by not making him translucent. I love putting on the color pencil. Sometimes when it sits against the darks, it just looks so nice. Sometimes I go a little too heavy with it, but definitely on that top plane, on the cheeks, I really like putting it there and on the forehead. Really like it, so. I think I'm gonna get to go to a Blick store on vacation. I've never actually been to one. And I'm starting to think there's a couple things I'm gonna need. So this right here is the idea that I had. I just decided I would break up these stars. And that would really push it. I think it had the desired effect for me. Again, thank goodness for these acrylic markers because they saved me so much time. Probably if I'd had my brush marker, it would have been alright, but I still haven't decided to try a refill and make sure that it's the black and not one of the grays or the sepia, so... Trying to be so careful because I'm like, if you mess up one of these, it's gonna be a pain in the butt to fix it. Even with the white acrylic marker, it's gonna take forever. And then I just put it on the blanket, which was not my original plan, but it worked out so much better that way. So yeah. Here's our little roll down. So you can get a close-up of some of the minor details. Some of it's still a little messy, but it's alright. Well, here's the finished picture. I hope you like it. Have a good day or night, and bye.